name is Jackie, and today we're going to talk about thread drops. So I've had many stitchers reach out to me and ask how to make thread drops. So this is not a difficult process at all. It's lots of fun. It opens it up to creativity of what your thread will be hanging on, to maybe to match your project or match the seasons, whatever you want it to match. So we're talking about these here. Now this is what you normally first saw thread drops come out looking like. They were little round teardrop shapes that you hung your stitching on, or your stitching, hung your floss on for your projects. These happen to be the ones for my Lady of the Flag. And once a company came out and started showing these, stitchers started making them themselves because they are quite easy. The teardrop shape actually is cut from my silhouette machine. So I have a die cutting machine that cuts dies, but they don't have to be teardrop shape. They can be any shape you want. So these happen to be, I made patriotic because Lady of the Flag. So all of my drops on this are patriotic. They have colored, patterned scrapbook paper, and the scrapbook paper is attached to cardstock, and then they're cut out. So I'm going to show you today how simple that can be with any shape you want to do. So let's get started. So there's a few things that you will need. There are a lot of optional items here, but what you will need is some punches, because putting holes in paper requires some punching, and you can't do that any other way. So what I use, now I cut my thread drops when I'm hand cutting them 1.5 inches by 2.5 inches, so rectangular. Again, you can cut yours any way you want. You can buy punches that look like tags. You can buy punches that look like different things and use that as well. Like for one set of mine, I found this punch at Joann's, and that's the shape right there. And I've used those as thread drops, and they work great. And it's so funny because I was in Joann's the other day and I saw this exact punch in their clearance bins for, I think it was like 10 bucks. So I think I paid more than that, but I probably used a coupon with it too. So, but a great punch. Don't need it though. You can just cut little rectangles if that's what you want to do, little squares, ovals, whatever you want to do to cut your thread drops. You can do them whatever shape you want. I use when I'm hand cutting them, instead of using my silhouette machine, I use a paper trimmer to cut mine. These are also accessible to Hobby Lobby or Joann's or whatever craft store you have, but they're not necessary. You can certainly take a ruler and a pencil and draw lines in paper wherever you want to cut it, and just cut it out with scissors. That would work just great. But you definitely need to have the punches. So the two that I normally use are, and these are, I think these are cheap Joann's punches. This one was a 3/4 inch circle. And then for the top to put my rings on, I use a hand punch like this, and it's a 1/4 inch hand punch. So it's a little bit larger, the hole. So those are the two that I use. I also have a 1-inch punch, but I don't use it that often unless I'm planning on making my thread drops bigger, because this hole it's a 1-inch hole. It's a little larger, and sometimes I feel like it's too big for the size tags that I use. Let me show you if I have one here. Nope, what did I do with it? I don't know where it is, but it is a larger hole. And I'm trying to see if I have something I can punch out to show you. Hold on. So this is what the hole looks like. This is a 1.5 strip. So this is how big the hole looks. So I would definitely have to make my thread drops a little bigger if I was going to use this punch, because this is what they normally look like. So that's the difference in the holes. But this is the size I like. So again, but you can use any size you want. Any size. You want bigger thread drops, littler thread drops, different shapes and sizes, use whatever you want. It's all on you to choose how you're going to do it. But I'm going to talk about how easy it is to make them and what kind of things you can make them out of. So I don't just use paper. I use photos. So how many of you have photos? Where's my photo thing? I have stacks of photos. And these are old, 10, 12, 14 years old, from my son was little, of the zoo, of pictures, of all sorts of things. I use these pictures. I've cut them up many times and made thread drops out of them. So it's a zebra. It's a flower. Right. There's a bird. It's like the back of the bird. Again, the zebra, you can see his little face halfway. Right, another flower one. So easy to make. So you need the punches. You need at least 2 size punches. Again, mine 3/4 and a 1/4 inch hand punch work just fine. Optional, which I prefer if you're making rectangular ones, is to get a corner rounder punch. So the little thing looks like this on it. And you just need a 1/4 rounder punch, whatever company. And what that does is, instead of having your thread drops look like this and look square, it rounds off the corners, so they're less likely to catch on things and start to, you know, bend over and stuff. So that works. And pictures are a great option. I've used pictures on, let's see, my map of Hawk Run Hollow. My thread drops look like this. They're pictures, and I use that other punch. So they're real pretty. I think they're pretty. And on the back, I just write what, this is DMC, what my floss number is. And they're sturdy. If you have older pictures, a lot of them are not so tear easy as they are nowadays. So if you go and check your pictures, some of them, you can see this won't tear. Whatever they made them out of, they're very sturdy, and makes great thread drops without having to put a backer on it, without having to put cardstock behind it. So great to use. Greeting cards. How many of you got greeting cards over Christmas? You have like tons of Christmas cards, birthday cards, all sorts of cards. You know, there's a birthday card from my brother-in-law. You can see I've already cut it to start making cards out of it, or making thread drops out of it, and they're just so cute. You know, it'll remind me, if I use this, of my brother-in-law and the birthday card he gave me. Here's another one, and it had a foil butterfly, so I tried to cut it so I would be able to save my foil butterfly. Right, so, and that's what it looked like before I did them. Then I'm going to make more of those. I made some out of cardstock and pattern paper. So pattern paper by itself is normally not very sturdy. So I will cut cardstock and pattern paper and glue them together with paper glue, and then punch out what I need. And these are really sturdy. These are pretty strong, and they're pretty. I mean, this one has foil. This is foil paper, you can see, and they make beautiful thread drops. You know, the initial cost of getting the punches and stuff is a little, but once you have it and you pick out some pattern paper, some cardstock, or use cards, you know, I have tons of Christmas cards, birthday cards that I'm going to cut up, you know, that I can use for thread drops. So that's what I'm going to do with these. That way I have them and I'm not wasting them or recycling, and I get to use them over and over again. I did the same thing with my photos. My photos that tear easily, I back them in just white cardstock. Glue the pictures on top of the cardstock. So, you know, this is cardstock and then the picture. You can see this one I haven't glued yet. It's just the picture. Here's the piece of cardstock. There is paper glue. This one happens to be Scotch Quick Dry Adhesive that I got at Joann's. There's many different ones. As long as they say that they're for paper, they'll work just fine. They're quick drying glues. You glue them together, you punch them out. So on this particular punch, and most of my punches, I take the bottom out. That helps me see to align where I want to put my punch. So this one I took the bottom out. For my handheld one, there's usually a little flap here that keeps all the pieces in. I took that out. because I want to be able to see. And all I do is I take my punch, I put it upside down so I can see what I'm punching through the hole, and then I just line up my paper so it's even on both sides and squeeze. And that's it, and there's my hole. And it's a little tougher because I've got a photo paper and a piece of cardstock, so it is a little tougher to squeeze, but it can be done. And then I just take my hand punch, and there's a little line in here, and that's where I line up the edge of my paper too. So I just stick it in here, line up the edge of my paper, make sure I've got it kind of in the center there, and just squeeze. And there you go. So there, I've got it going. And then I will take my corner punch, and again, it can be a little tough because of what it is, but the corner punch is you stick your paper in at an angle depending on the punch and just squeeze, and it'll round the corners off. So I'm going to put this down here so I don't get this stuff all over the place. Squeeze, squeeze. Third, and the fourth one, and there you go. There's my thread drop. So easy, but recycle things that you have. Find things around that you can make, cut up, and make thread drops out of. It's really lots of fun. It's economical if you make a lot of them or if you use a lot of them, and you can personalize them to whatever you want them to be. Okay, so who's up for a giveaway? So let's do a giveaway for my handmade thread drops. If you're interested in winning a set of 15 handmade foiled thread drops, leave a comment below and say I love thread drops, and you'll be entered in. Please remember, you must be a subscriber to my channel. You must like the video, and no saying giveaway or anything like that. You must be over 18 in order to give me your address, and we'll see. We'll do a drawing in a couple weeks, and I'll give away a set of my thread drops that I just made. Okay, you guys have a great day. Bye.